Welcome, everyone. I'm excited to engage in our orientation to your Zearn school account. My name is Elaine Savoy, and I work on the implementation team at Zearn. Today, we're going to share an overview of your Zearn Math Educator account. Here's how we'll spend our time together today. We'll take a look at the resources available for kindergarten. We'll preview a few of the digital activities and highlight the data in reports. We'll close by reviewing how to access your account and leave time for additional questions. So let me start with a quick introduction to Zearn. We are a nonprofit founded on the belief that all kids are math kids. We designed Zearn Math to support all kids with deeply understanding grade level math content. We also know that if a child falls behind in math, it's really hard to catch up. This was true before the pandemic and continues to be one of the biggest challenges we face today. Zearn is designed to change that trajectory for kids. Everything we do is driven by the belief that math is a few big ideas and all kids can catch up and move forward in their math learning. And everything we build is informed by feedback from educators like you. In kindergarten, Zearn is designed to give kids opportunities for grade level concept exploration and to build number sense through the digital component with built in support when they need it. Every day, students get the chance to explore math concepts with their peers and teacher, where they model math with concrete manipulatives, use multiple representations to solve problems, and engage in rich conversations. They also build their number sense independently with Zearn's digital activities. So whether you're using Zearn as your curriculum or as a digital number sense practice to support your curriculum, we will hit on all parts of Zearn for kindergarten that you need to know. So let's get started with the resources that are available to you on the kindergarten overview page. To access the full kindergarten curriculum and resources, you'll click on the curriculum tab here at the top. This way, you'll be able to access all the content by clicking the circle marked K. Here on the overview page, you can find the course guide for kindergarten, which provides a high-level view of the content and concepts addressed in each mission throughout the year, as well as much more detail about preparing for the year of instruction, such as mathematical practice standards, key vocabulary, mission-specific guidance, and much more. This is a key document to read if you are using Zearn as your curriculum. Right under that is a link to our Help Center for a quick guide to getting started with Zearn in kindergarten. Here, you'll find an overview video led by our in-house teacher, Ms. Laurie, about best practices for supporting students with Zearn Math. Next, you'll see a link to all digital activities, which we'll get to in just a bit. When we scroll down, we can access the full mission PDF for all 6 missions or units of kindergarten. If you're using Zearn Math as your curriculum, this is where you can see the lessons we provide for every day of instruction, assessments, and more detail about using the digital activities alongside your daily instruction. If you're using Zearn Math's digital activities alongside your curriculum, you may not use these materials too often, but I did want to point them out just in case it's helpful. So let's take a look at one of them together. In each full mission PDF, you'll see a table of contents for quick and easy navigation to any part of this document. Next, you'll find a detailed overview of the mission. This tells you what the mission is all about. I also want to highlight notes on pacing for differentiation. If pacing is a challenge, you can consider Zearn's recommendations for modifications or omissions. After that, we offer detailed guidance for using each of the digital activities alongside live instruction and how the activities connect to the content of the daily lessons. For example, Here, we explain the digital activity hop, skip, splash, and the questions to ask to support the learning students are doing in that activity. We also provide suggestions for supporting the range of learning in the classroom in multiple means of representation and engagement. If we continue scrolling, you can see some important information for teachers using Zearn as a curriculum. We'll see a detailed table of the lessons within this mission, their objectives, and how they are grouped into topics. We can also see when the mid mission assessment happens, which here in this mission, it's after lesson 16. You'll also find an overview of the vocabulary in this mission. You'll see suggested manipulatives and an overview of the assessments. Now, here we've reached topic A, which contains lessons 1 through 3, and this is where lesson 1 begins. So you can see the lesson objective here at the top, the opening fluency activities underneath, and on the right side, you'll see that we include notes about engaging all the learners in your classroom. Following fluency, there is a word problem for every lesson with notes about facilitating problem solving. And following the word problem is the lesson. Here we can see where all the materials are listed and all the rich student teacher dialogue to support your planning for instruction. At the end of each lesson, we include debrief questions to summarize learning, as well as student work samples from the accompanying work pages. Finally, you'll see the problem set for this lesson to assess students' understanding of the lesson. These questions can be read aloud to students. Every daily lesson will have these same components, and they can be found in the full mission PDFs. Again, these documents will be most useful if you are currently using Zearn Math as your kindergarten curriculum. Now that we have an understanding of the instructional materials for kindergarten, let's dive into the digital activities. If you are familiar with Zearn's independent digital lessons for grades 1st through 8, you'll notice that our digital activities for kindergartners have a different design. So let's take a look. For kindergarten, we have a robust library of 170 digital activities that are designed with our youngest learners in mind. Digital activities have a game like feel and only take 5 to 10 minutes to complete, knowing most kindergarten students are building stamina to work independently for a full 30-minute lesson in first grade. So let's check it out on the platform. Back on the kindergarten overview page and to the right, we can access all digital activities along with some helpful resources. These digital activities, which are grouped by number ranges, numbers to 5, 10, 15, and 20, are an important digital companion to your live instruction and provide critical support to students in emphasizing skills such as essential number sense, sequencing, composition and decomposition, counting all, and gradually moving to counting on so that they're ready for first grade. At the top of this page, we see our guide to kindergarten digital activities. Here is where we list all of the different formats of the kindergarten digital activities. We also have tips for getting started and how the digital activities work alongside the content of each mission. This information can also be found within each full mission PDF, which we saw earlier. It's important to note that students work through the digital activities at their own pace. So their activity will not necessarily align daily to the specific numbers that you're teaching in your live instruction. That's okay and to be expected. With that in mind, let's take a look at a couple of examples of digital activities. To do this, I'll scroll down on my page and select an activity. Today, we'll start by exploring the second activity, Some Snacks, Numbers to 5. The Some Snacks activity is a fun and creative count out activity where students will count along with animal friends. Students will use place value and base 10 skills to help their hungry pals, deepening their knowledge and application of whole number addition along the way.
Give box 1 apple.
Students receive audio support, prompting them to give one apple to Fox.
Give tiger 2 oranges.
And next, prompted to give Tiger 2 oranges.
Give rabbit 3 strawberries.
Students will continue through this activity, counting each additional piece of fruit. As the student increases the amount of fruit, numbers appear below each piece to help count to the total, the sum, building the foundation of addition. The next activity we'll explore is the counting train. The counting train activity is where students will identify the number of animals in a group and match concrete animations to abstract number representations. So here, I'm matching one animal to the number 1 on the train. When I input my answer, I see I'm correct, and I move on to the next question. Now, when students answer incorrectly, they get feedback that they're incorrect and a chance to try again.
One, 2,
Now, if they answer incorrectly a second time, they hear and see helpful acceleration for counting. For the sake of time, I'm going to pause here so I can show you an example of how digital activities bring in important representations from live teacher-led lessons to mirror instruction. So we're going to go back and check out a different digital activity. This time, I'm going to select activity number 5 in the Numbers to 5 module, Make and Break.
make 2,
This activity is called Make and Break, where students engage with the familiar 5 frame to make numbers 1 to 5.
1 and 1 make what number?
Now we can imagine that a student may not know what to do here just yet, so I'll guess 4.
Use the dots to help you.
You see, I get a little hint on the left side and also a chance to try again. So let's say I'm still struggling, and this time I guess 1.
1 and 1 make 2. 1, 2,
When they make 2 mistakes in a row, they'll receive embedded support to break down the composition of 2 with 1-to-1 correspondence. You'll notice these activities are kindergarten friendly, not super complicated, and developmentally appropriate to keep kindergarten students engaged and excited. These are just a few examples of the many engaging and creative activities available to kindergarten students. So you can view and engage with the full list of activities within your Zearn account on the kindergarten overview page. Now let's shift gears and look at this from a student's perspective. When students log in, they land on this page. You'll notice that it looks very different from your educator account. Zearn is designed by teachers, so it is a very focused experience for students with very few places to click. Right on the home page, students will see their current digital activity at the very top of their student feed. When orienting students to Zearn, all you have to tell them is to log in and press start. This will ensure that students are completing digital activities within the number band that you assign them. Students will also earn a badge every time they complete a digital activity. Students can view their badges by clicking badges here on the left. Students can also go in and view their badges to help track and celebrate their progress and motivate them to reach their individual learning goals. Now, you may be wondering, how do students know what activity to do? Or how do I assign them to the activity I want them to work on? So let's take a few moments to walk through how you assign digital content for students. No matter how you use Zearn, assigning student lessons looks the same. So let's check it out. You'll start by clicking on the Assignments tab at the top of your page. If you teach multiple classes, you'll select the class or roster that you would like to assign for from the drop-down menu. If you don't see all of the classes you teach or support, you'll need to reach out to your school administrator, who can then connect you with the person managing your Zearn roster. In some cases, this will require changes to be made directly within your student information system, and in other cases, you may be able to adjust this directly on the Zearn platform. Now, the easiest way to set assignments for your students is by checking this box in the column header, which will automatically select all students on your roster. Then click on the first tab, Change Current Lesson. From here, you would select K from the first drop-down menu and the number range you want students to work on. We recommend that you set kinder students to the first number range, numbers to 5. Now, before I click Assign at the bottom of this pop-up, I see a checkbox to automatically continue to grade 1 content. If this box is checked, when students complete all of the digital activities in numbers to 20, they will automatically move on to first grade independent digital lessons. If you do not want students to auto advance to first grade independent digital lessons, you'll need to deselect that box here. If you're unsure whether you want to keep that access on or turn it off, the Help Center that is linked on the Kindergarten Overview page shares a few considerations to keep in mind before moving kindergarten students to first grade content. Now, after we click Assign, we can see that all students are now assigned to digital activities numbers to 5. It is important to note that if you teach multiple groups of students or have several rosters on Zearn, you will need to go through this process for each roster. So to change the roster that you're assigning for, you would scroll up to the top of your page and use the drop-down menu to select your desired class. Now that we have explored the digital activities from the student perspective and learned how to set student assignments, let's shift gears and dig into the class reports that are available to kindergarten educators. Based on student interaction with digital activities, Zearn's platform generates a report called the Activity Tracker that shows how many digital activities they've completed. This tracker is one important piece of the puzzle, or one way in which you can collect data. We can access the Activity Tracker by clicking on the Reports tab at the top of your homepage and then select Activity Tracker. You can see completed activities by number range. And you can sort students by their individual progress across the activities by clicking into the column headers. You can also see the last time each child logged in the far right column. We recommend checking this tracker throughout the week once your students are completing digital activities independently to closely monitor their progress. Students should complete 4 digital activities per week whenever they are ready to fully engage with the activities independently. In addition to the digital activity tracker, you can also see a closer look at which activities your students complete and when they completed them by using the student report. Here, you can pull a report for each child. You can access this report by clicking on the Reports tab at the top of your page. From here, you would select Student Reports, choose a class, and then choose a student. The last thing that we want to quickly touch on before we close out is how to log in. Depending on how your school or district has rostered with Zearn, there are different ways that you may sign in. If you are new to Zearn and your district or school has set up your Zearn school account, you may have received an email prompting you to set a password. Once you create a password, you can log in using your username and password on the Zearn.org site. This is true for returning Zearn users as well. If you haven't gotten an email to set your password or you aren't sure what your password is, all you need to do is click on this Forgot Password link and then enter the email you use to create your Zearn account. If you enter your email on the Forgot Password page and you don't receive anything prompting you to set a password, you can send an email to support@zearn.org and our support team will help ensure you get access as soon as possible. Now, if your district is rostered through Clever or ClassLink, you'll need to navigate to the homepage of your district's Clever or ClassLink portal and click on the Zearn tile to log into Zearn. If you are unable to access Zearn through your Clever or ClassLink portal, please reach out to your school or district IT team for support. If you are unsure of which sign-on option makes sense for you, reach out to your district representative to identify the best way for you to log in. Before we close out, I also want to share where you can find our school account resources page. To navigate there, you'll go back to your educator homepage and click View Resources in the middle tile. On this page, you can find information about further professional development offerings, videos about many of the topics we covered today, as well as links to helpful resources. And that's it for today's training. Thank you so much for joining us. We can't wait to see you and your students on Zearn.